know Dr. Hynek awfully well, but I knew him fairly well, and he seemed to be friendly toward me, and he was a smear non-subscriber. And he told me, and I'm sure many other people, what his motive in all of what he did was he wanted to learn the truth in his lifetime. And the poor man died of brain cancer, as some of your people will know. And quite obviously, he did not learn the truth in his lifetime, and in certain circles of science, I guess he made a fool of himself. And there are people in the field that think he was too conservative, and others thought he was going off the deep end toward the end. And so many people come along now that knew Hynek, better than they ever did know Hynek. And there's one lady, I can't think of her name, is a story of his having seen top secret documents, and you can't ask him whether that ever happened. Point is, I'm not going to learn the truth in my lifetime either.
I don't think he was.
No, and so I'm kind of disappointed in that way, so I just have become the amateur sociologist, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing here, just carousing with people that I've known, and hopefully learning something new once in a while, but it's not that I'm all that smart, but I don't hear much of these conventions that turns me on.
People keep waiting for the government to make a big announcement.
Oh, yeah, well, I've been listening to that since 1954.
Yeah. I think it's a perfect way to keep people hanging on the hook, and it seems to work very well. But I think even if the government were to make an announcement, we'd be absolute fools to believe what they told us, and I don't think we would know the truth even then. And even if it was the truth, I don't think any of us would believe it. Do you?
Well, you pretty well got it, I mean, I don't believe much of what Bush does, and if he made an announcement like that, I'm not sure I believe that either, Why would I just suddenly change my whole attitude about the man?
I will tell you a little secret that I've never told anybody. I called J. Allen Hynek and talked to him one time, and we had a pleasant conversation. He didn't know who I was, and we never met personally. But we had a nice conversation on the phone, and at one point I asked him, point blank, I said, what do you think all this means? What is the sum total of all of this? And you know what he told me to do? He said, read the books on theosophy.
And what did he mean?
And that's the point where I began my research in ministry schools.
I wonder why he'd say that.
I don't know. It's puzzled me ever since, and now he's dead, so I can't go back and ask him.
Well, as I say, legends have grown up about him, and I think some of it is kind of tacky, Any famous person has people that know him a lot better than he knows them, It's that syndrome, But I was Dr. Hynek's right-hand man, that kind of thing. The person that comes to mind first is Willie Smith, Dr. Willie Smith. Do you know him at all?
No, I don't know, but I've read a lot of letters.
He's an arrogant gentleman, and since we're on the air, I can't make it any stronger than that. I can't tell you what I really think, but I've had some trouble with him. And you get him.
Jim, on my show, you can say whatever you want as long as it doesn't fall under the term of obscenities.
All right, but, libel, it doesn't have to be obscene, Slander is what we're doing, not libel, but it doesn't have to be obscene to be slander.
The only one you have to worry about is yourself, because I have no property, so anybody who wants to sue me will get absolutely nothing, and I invite them to run through the courts until their face turns blue. They still won't get anything because I don't have anything.
Well, Willie Smith, if you listen to him, he was going to take over all of Hynek's files, and I forget what Smith calls his database thing. I can't think of the name at the minute, but he was, the heir apparent to Hynek, and but he's the only one that knows this. I never heard Hynek mention it. And a lot of other people say that Smith is making this up, but again, we can't check with Hynek. People like that really annoy me.
I know what you mean, because I met 4 people who were personal assistants to J. Allen Hynek, and I have no way of knowing if any one of them were or weren't. But
that's exactly the kind of thing that I mean. And one of those people, a lady, claims that Hynek was invited to a base in California, an air base, I guess. And part of the story I like is he's walking along the hall. I guess this lady must have been there with him, or she wouldn't have seen it, or whatever. And there's some officers walking down the hall ahead of Hynek. One of them drops this folder, see, and he doesn't bend over to pick it up, so you have to take it for granted that he did it on purpose. So Hynek comes up to the folder as he walks behind the guy, and he wonders whether he's supposed to pick it up, and apparently he is. So he does pick it up, and then it's got all of this pictures of the craft, and all the good stuff is there.
Sounds like
I haven't seen that folder, but it's out there somewhere.
Sounds like the same stuff that was, Linda Howe and me and many other people went through. I think that, in fact, I know no other, if this is real, and if it's really top secret, no other top secret project in the history of top secret projects has been contained in a bucket with so many holes in it. I mean, this bucket is leaking like a sieve, and they're all intentional, and I know they're intentional. And nobody, for instance, what's the guy Graham?
Lee Graham?
Lee Graham.
Yeah.
Lee Graham gets some of William Moore's Majestic 12 stuff and passes it around at the aircraft plant where he works at, and then all of a sudden, here you got the security people sitting him down and questioning him, and he says he got it from Bill Moore, but they never did investigate Bill Moore. Now that's to convince Lee Graham that it's authentic material, but they don't give a damn about where it really came from, because the whole purpose of the operation was to convince Lee Graham that it was authentic, or else William Moore would be in jail right now.
Well, I mean, all these years, going all the way back, there's all of these ex-servicemen who have seen a certain hangar, or, they were part of the team that was carrying a body, or saw something loaded onto a truck, or they were here, or they were there. They never have a photograph, only drawings and their own memory, and they never have a piece of metal that they chopped off or something. There's never any proof. There's an awful lot of people telling similar stories, and you can get carried away with it, but after 40 years, I say, come on. I don't know why they're saying it, but they're not proving it.
Well, I think maybe maybe not all of these cases, but many of these cases, I think that what these people are saying is the truth. And I think that they were set up to see these things so that they would go talk about it, and they were intentionally deprived of having any proof so that they could never substantiate it. Because I think that behind this is some effort to manipulate the people of the world into something. Right now it appears to be a one-world government coming together as one humanity to face this external threat. But we can't prove that either, except that that's where this is going to ultimately lead us, if they can make us think collectively, all of us, that ETs are real, because that's all they have to do is make us believe that. Whether they're benevolent or not, we can't take that chance. We have to form together for our mutual defense if they're real.
That's true. One other point on that other thing, and you and I were talking about this the other day. If a guy has no need to know, and I know that much about security, it's based on need to know. So in so many of these cases, there's a sergeant or something, he's standing out on duty, and another friend of his comes and says, oh, we've got a saucer in this hangar over here. Would you like to come and take a look at it?
Sure.
I mean, it's not credible.
That's why I believe that these people are being set up, and that I don't believe these people are lying one bit. I think they're telling the truth, and what they're saying happened to them really happened, but what they may have looked at was not really a saucer.
Oh, it's so easy to simulate a saucer or an alien body.
Sure.
There's an alien body.
Take a baboon and cut off its tail, do a little reconstructive surgery on its ears and eyes, and shave it, and you've got a grave.
Well, there's an alien body on the back cover of my book, which was printed by Beckley. Unfortunately, the alien body turns out, as other people discovered, it's a wax dummy that was on display in Montreal, Canada in the early 80s, see?
And here it is wearing a jacket with a zipper.
And so Tim, in deference to the expose, he said that in the next edition he's going to change the back cover. I said, I don't care. I said, I enjoy selling the book. I tell people that I didn't write it. It was ghostwritten for me years ago. It's a story there. But anyway, you can put anything you want on the back cover. I'm no more embarrassed than I would be otherwise. So leave the fake alien, put a new back cover. I don't care. It's all the same to me.
Well, we've got about a minute and a half left, Jim. Can you sum up and just sort of, what you've got a minute and a half. What would you say to millions of people who are going to listen to this broadcast on shortwave worldwide, all over the world? What would you say to them if you could?
Well, I'd say keep an eye on this subject. There's something to it. There's something interesting here. Keep an open mind, which means, you don't have to believe all of what anybody says, but there is something apparently going on, and as I've indicated, it seems to be beyond our present knowledge as far as science is concerned, and we'll hope that we'll learn more about it, and it won't be easy and it won't be soon, but meanwhile it's a fascinating mystery. You know, let me put it this way, the human mind wants answers, that's why you have religion. You have a subject where there are no answers, and you invent them if you have to, and that's why people form beliefs, solid, serious beliefs in a subject like this. It has to be this, it has to be that. But that gives them an answer, and if they're happy, I mean, that's fine with me, but it doesn't mean that it's the answer just because it's their answer. So it's not that simple. You got to face the fact that at a given point in human history, there are things that we don't understand yet, and we can just hope for the best. That's it.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, folks, I told you that that would be a good interview, and it was. Everybody has a different viewpoint on the origin and the real story behind UFOs. All I can tell you is that I've discovered that there is a secret hidden technology. And some of that technology, at least, is owned by the United States government and is flown from a super secret test site in the state of Nevada called Groom Dry Lake, or Area 51. I've been out there many times and have videotaped these craft in the air flying, and they do things that absolutely defy the laws of physics as we know them. But we may not really know the real laws of physics. Maybe they perfected a unified field theory and really have plugged gravity into the equation. If that's true, then we may be being set up. In fact, we may have been being set up since the end of World War II when they captured German technology along the lines of disc-shaped flying craft in order to create an artificial alien threat from outer space to bring about the formation of a one-world government where humanity would be willing to give up whatever is needed in order to face that threat. Think about it, folks, because I think that's what's really happening, although I can't explain all UFO sightings, and some of them could possibly be extraterrestrial. But I think if the TV set is broken, it's absolutely foolish to go to the moon to try to get it repaired. And if we see something flying in our atmosphere, it's equally foolish to go to Andromeda to find the answer to it. So, folks, until next time, I really have enjoyed being with you tonight. Tomorrow night, Darlene Sherrill's going to be here talking about fluoridation in water. Absolutely fantastic show. Don't miss it. Good night, and God bless you all.